Hey everyone, it's Mike again, and today we're dealing with dialogues recorded outside. Hi, it's Mike from Casefile Presents. On this channel I'm releasing videos on podcasting. If you enjoy the content, hit the like button. Working on Casefile Presents show, this will be released in early 2022. And as I'm working on these dialogues, I want to do a few sort of video tutorials how I do approach some issues that are on this audio. And in this video I want to show you and play you some dialogue that was recorded outside, and we have two sort of scenarios. One is a dialogue recorded outside, which is very noisy, and in this situation we'll be looking at making it more understandable. So we're looking at getting rid of all of that noise, even if it means sort of affecting the dialogue, affecting what's the sound of the dialogue, but we're looking at making it sort of easy to understand for the listener. And then the second clip is a dialogue recorded outside, which is a little bit noisy, but we want to keep some of that noise because it adds to the story, it adds the ambience. So let's jump to Rx9 Advanced, which I'm using when I'm working with this sort of dialogue recorded in various scenarios. Alright, so I'm using Sony MDR 7506, which are my editing headphones. These are not great for mixing, they're closed cap, they're sort of make your hearing fatigue, but they're amazing for editing because you can hear all the details, you know, all the little mistakes and lip smacks. So let's jump to RX now. Okay, so these are the two clips that I prepped today.
Do door-to-door further down the road to see whether there's any sightings, any other CCTV footage. And of course,
as you can hear, very noisy, kind of distorted. And then the second clip.
literally paced, a set number of paces, 1 foot in front of the other. I think to the edge.
Okay, so it's just some rustling going through grass, that sort of thing, maybe some leaves as well on the ground. Let's start with this one. So when we're looking at a clip which is so noisy,
Do door-to-door further down the road.
and very distorted, then for me, number one priority is to making it easy to understand. And the word is intelligibility over quality. At least that's my approach. Even if it means changing how the dialogue sounds severely, as long as being understand better than now, that's a win for me, that's success. So what I would do is I would actually use two modules in this instance, and it would be dialogue isolate, which is this one, and deconstruct. And we can use them several times, see how they help. Dialogue isolate will take some time because it's a sort of complex algorithm, and also the quality is set to best. Okay, let's listen now.
Do door-to-door further down the road to see whether there's any sightings, any other CCTV footage.
It's okay. That was before.
Do door-to-door.
It helped a little bit, but not as much as I would like to. What if we run it again? It just takes a little bit of time. Let's play it.
Do door-to-door further down the road to see whether there's any sightings, any other CCTV footage.
Let's compare it to what we had in an initial state.
Do door-to-door further down the road to see whether there's any sightings, any other CCTV.
Versus now.
Do door-to-door further down the road to see whether there's any sightings, any other CCTV footage.
So it's okay. It's not as good as I like it to be, but let's... so we run dialogue isolate twice. Let's shut it and then see what we can do with deconstruct.
Do door-to-door further down the road to see whether there's any sightings, any other CCTV footage. Do door-to-door further down the...
So deconstruct will get rid of some of that background noise, but as you can hear, it did affect the sound of the dialogue and also made it a little bit less audible. So I'm not liking it as much as I would like it to. But let's run it at -3.
Do door-to-door further down the road to see whether there's any sightings, any other CCTV.
And before?
Do door-to-door further down the road to see.
I like it without deconstruct, but what we can try, we could try just a normal voice to noise and see if that works. I'm just gonna bring it down to 4, something like that.
Do door-to-door further down the road to see whether there's.
That's actually much better. So I'm gonna run it twice. Okay.
Do door-to-door further down the road to see whether there's any sightings, any other CCTV footage.
So that's what we had, an initial.
Do door-to-door further down the road to see whether there's any sightings, any other CCTV.
To what we got now.
Do door-to-door further down the road to see whether there's any sightings, any other CCTV footage.
And then what else we could do would be to run the clip. And we can select it as well. Go into suggest. And you could fix some of that.
Do door-to-door further down.
Some of that distortion, saturation.
Do door-to-door further down the road to see whether there's any sightings, any other CCTV footage. And of course, we also piece it together with any CCTV footage up here.
So there's a little bit of crackling going as well. And, you know, we can play with the crackle, see if that helps.
And of course, we also piece it together with any CCTV footage up here.
It's okay. But, yeah, so initial state.
Do door-to-door further down the road to see whether there's any sightings, any other CCTV footage. And of course, we also piece it together with.
So it's kind of distorted, again, very noisy. And what we end up with is this.
Do door-to-door further down the road to see whether there's any sightings, any other CCTV footage. And of course, we all.
So again, that only took us like 5 minutes, and the audio is much clearer, easier to understand. The noise is in the background. There is still some crackle, some distortions. I mean, we cannot work miracles. We could spend some more time on it. But then again, if we're chased by deadlines and time, then we run a few modules like that, leave it. And then later on, when you score, when you mix, if you feel still it could maybe it needs a little bit more work, then we would go back. So we used denoiser and we used dialog isolate. Deconstruct did not work in this instance. Now the second scenario is interesting because
literally paced a set number of paces, 1 foot in front of the other. I think to the edge.
Because I don't want to get rid of that rustling sound. And if we used the rustle, I'm going to use it just for this purpose. As you can see, it got rid of all of that.
Literally paced a set number of paces, 1 foot in front of the other.
The audio is much clearer, right? But it just lost a little bit of that authenticity. Before we could hear they're moving, they're going through some kind of leaves or grass. And now, yeah, we can hear what's being said, but we are not there. So the immersion is lost a little bit. So instead of using the rustle, what I would probably use would be dialog isolate again. Just on that little bit. And we can also set how much ambience preservation we're going to leave. Let's put at 39. So what I wanna is to have that background rustling just a little bit quieter. Okay, so let's hear it now.
Literally paced a set number of paces, 1 foot in front of the other. I think to the edge of this.
As you can hear, we go back.
Literally paced a set number of paces, 1 foot in front of the other.
And now?
A set number of paces, 1 foot in front of the other.
So only one pass of dialogue isolate, and already the background noise, the rustling, the little bit of that tumble there is less audible, but it's still there, and the scene is preserved. We're still hearing what's being said, but it's not as intrusive on dialogue as it were before. When we got clips like that, there are a few different approaches that we can take depending on the quality of the clip. So we had two instances. In the first one, intelligibility was far more important for me than the quality of the dialogue of the actual scene, because the audio is quite distorted, the dialogue's been overshadowed by passing cars and some other noise. I want to bring that dialogue up front, even if it means changing the sound of it a little bit. That's why we're using heavy effects, and then several times we're using these modules. In the second instance, because the dialogue still recorded outside, but it's kind of clean, we want to preserve that scene, that what's being said, but also what's happening. In this instance, moving of some leaves, some grass, some stuff like that. We could easily get rid of that, but then we're losing that immersion. So what I want to at least have with that is bring it down just a little bit, so the dialogue's still at the front, but if you're listening on your headphones, you've got that immersion, something's happening in the background. Two clips recorded outside, different approach to both of them. But that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button if you did. And yeah, I'll see you later.